They said omegas couldn't feel the mate bond after rejection. They lied. Ash felt it snap like brittle bone the moment his fated mate, Beta Marcus, chose the pack's prettier omega, but what truly killed him was feeling that same bond pulse with desperate urgency as flames devoured the Alpha King's estate 3 months later. Ash scrubbed at the grease staining the kitchen counter, his scarred hands moving in practiced circles. The burn marks running up his left arm had been there since childhood. No one remembered how he got them, least of all him. Just another mystery in a life full of blanks. "Move faster, defect," snarled Marta, the head cook. "The princess's cake needs to be perfect, and I won't have you contaminating it with your presence." He nodded, kept his head down, and moved to the far sink. 5 years old today, Princess Elena. The entire compound buzzed with celebration while Ash did what he did best, stayed invisible. Through the kitchen window, he caught sight of Marcus laughing with Sarah, the delicate omega who'd stolen his mate. Marcus's hand rested possessively on Sarah's lower back. 3 months, and the sight still made Ash's chest ache like an open wound. The bond wasn't supposed to hurt anymore. The healers promised that once a mate chose another, the rejected wolf would go numb to it. But Ash felt every phantom caress, every surge of Marcus's contentment with someone else. He felt it like poison in his veins. "Ash!" A young servant burst through the kitchen door, eyes wild. "Fire! The East Wing!" The explosion cut off her words. The kitchen windows shattered inward, glass raining down like deadly snow. Ash hit the ground, covering his head as screams erupted from every direction. Smoke poured through the broken windows, black and choking. Ash scrambled to his feet, his wolf surging forward with an urgency he didn't understand. Everyone was running toward the exits, pushing and shoving in their panic. Then he heard it. A child's scream, high and terrified, cutting through the chaos. 3rd floor. East Wing. His wolf howled, not in fear, but in recognition. In desperate, clawing need. Ash's legs moved before his mind could catch up. He shoved against the tide of fleeing bodies, ignored the hands that grabbed at him, the voices shouting for him to stop. The main staircase was engulfed, flames licking up the walls like hungry mouths. He took the servants' stairs instead, narrow and forgotten. Smoke burned his lungs. Heat pressed against his skin like a living thing, but he kept climbing. 3rd floor. East Wing. The hallway was an inferno. Ash dropped low, crawling beneath the worst of the smoke. His eyes streamed, his throat raw. Doors hung open, abandoned in the evacuation. But one door at the end of the hall remained closed. The screaming came from behind it. Ash reached the door, grabbed the handle. The metal seared his palm, skin bubbling instantly, but he didn't let go. He threw his shoulder against the wood once, twice. The door gave way. Princess Elena huddled in the corner of her playroom, surrounded by flames. Tears tracked through the soot on her round face. When she saw Ash, her eyes went wide. "Stay there," Ash croaked. He looked around frantically. The window, if he could break it. The ceiling groaned. Ash looked up just as a burning beam cracked and fell. He dove forward, covering Elena's small body with his own. The beam crashed down, pinning him. White-hot agony exploded across his back and shoulders. He screamed, but he didn't let go of the child beneath him. Elena sobbed against his chest. Ash could feel his skin blistering, melting. No Omega could survive this. No Omega should even still be conscious. But his wolf wouldn't let him stop. Wouldn't let him surrender. With a roar of pain and fury, Ash heaved himself up, lifting the burning beam enough to roll free. He scooped Elena into his arms and stumbled toward the window. His legs barely held him. Everything hurt, everything burned. He didn't remember breaking the glass. Didn't remember the hands that caught them from below, the ladder that appeared, the descent that should have killed him. He remembered laying Elena on the grass, her small hand gripping his ruined one. He remembered the crowd that gathered, gasping and pointing. He remembered Marcus's voice cutting through the haze. Look at the defect, playing hero. Marcus's sneer was visible even through Ash's failing vision. Couldn't get attention from being someone's mate, so now you're trying this? Ash wanted to respond, but his body was shutting down. The pain had become something distant, floating just out of reach. Then the crowd parted. Alpha King Theron strode forward, his massive frame radiating power. His face was unreadable as he looked down at Ash, then at his daughter, who was crying but alive. Unburned. Healer, Theron commanded. Now. Old Margot shuffled forward, her white hair wild around her face. She knelt beside Ash, her gnarled hands hovering over his wounds. Her milky eyes went wide. My lord, she whispered. This isn't possible. What? Theron's voice had gone cold. He's healing. Already. Margot's hands trembled as she peeled away burned fabric from Ash's back. These wounds should have killed him instantly. But look, the tissue is regenerating. This is alpha-level healing. She looked up at Theron, fear bright in her eyes. This is royal bloodline healing. The crowd went silent. Marcus laughed, sharp and disbelieving. That's insane. He's a defect. A broken Omega from the orphanage. He's nothing. But Theron wasn't laughing. He stared at Ash with an intensity that made the air feel heavy. Then he reached down and touched Ash's face, turning it toward the light. Your eyes, Theron said quietly. What color were they before the smoke? Green, Ash whispered. They're green. Theron's jaw clenched. Margot. His scent. The healer leaned close, inhaling. Then she rocked back on her heels, hand pressed to her mouth. Omega, she confirmed. But underneath. My lord, underneath there's something else. Something old. Something that's been suppressed. Whispers erupted through the crowd. What is he? What are they saying? This can't be real. Ash's vision was darkening at the edges. The pain was coming back now, crashing over him in waves. Theron's face swam above him, and for just a moment, one crystalline moment, the Alpha King's features shifted. Different eyes. A different face, softer, younger. Someone Ash should know. Someone he did know, buried deep in memories that had been taken from him. Then a woman's voice, cold and full of rage, whispered through his fading consciousness. They took you from me. They took everything from me. Ash's eyes rolled back. The last thing he heard was Elena's small voice. Papa, why does he smell like Uncle Adrian? Then darkness swallowed him whole. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 2. Ash woke to silk sheets and the scent of jasmine. Wrong. Everything was wrong. His eyes snapped open. The ceiling above him was painted with murals of the moon goddess, silver and luminous even in the dim light. Heavy curtains blocked out the sun, but he could feel it was afternoon by the way his wolf stirred restlessly. He tried to sit up. Pain lanced through his back and shoulders, but it was manageable. Distant. His wounds should have hurt far worse. Don't move too quickly. The voice came from the shadows. A woman emerged, tall, regal, wearing the dark blue robes of a royal healer. Not Margot. This one was younger, her black hair pulled back in a severe bun. I'm Healer Celeste. You've been unconscious for 2 days. 2 days. Ash's throat felt lined with ash. Princess Elena is alive because of you. Celeste moved to his bedside, her expression carefully neutral. The Alpha King has ordered you moved to the royal wing for observation. The royal wing. Ash looked around the room properly now, the massive 4-poster bed, the wardrobes carved from dark oak, the window seat overlooking manicured gardens. This wasn't a guest room. This was a suite. Why? The word came out hoarse. Celeste's jaw tightened. That's not for me to answer. The king will speak with you when you're stronger. She poured water from a crystal pitcher, held it to his lips. Drink. Your body is still healing. He drank, though his mind raced. The last thing he remembered was Elena's small voice. Why does he smell like Uncle Adrian? And before that, the Dowager Luna's face, Theron's shock, Margot's trembling hands. Royal bloodline healing. The pack, Ash said when Celeste pulled the glass away. What are they saying? Celeste's expression shuddered completely. Rest. That's an order. She left before he could press further. Ash lay back against the pillows, his wolf pacing anxiously beneath his skin. Something was deeply wrong. Omegas didn't stay in the royal wing. Omegas didn't heal from wounds that should have killed them. And Omegas definitely didn't hear dead women's voices promising vengeance. The whisper started before Ash could even leave the bed. He heard them through the door, through the walls, servants passing in the hallways, guards stationed at his entrance. The words bled together into a poisonous chorus. Suspicious. Too convenient. His scent was there. Playing hero to cover his tracks. Sienna says he was obsessed with Marcus. Unstable. An Omega scorned is dangerous. Ash pressed his palms against his eyes. Sienna. Of course it was Sienna. Marcus's new mate was beautiful in the way that made other Omegas feel like rough drafts, delicate features, honey gold hair, a voice like wind chimes. She'd smiled sweetly at Ash the day after Marcus chose her, right before she'd whispered, "He never wanted you. You were just convenient." Now she was spinning poison, and the pack was drinking it down. On the third day, they came for him. Beta Commander Kale entered without knocking, flanked by two stone-faced guards. He was a massive man, scarred from decades of service, with eyes like flint. But when he looked at Ash, something flickered in those hard eyes. Fear. Get up, Kale ordered. You're needed for questioning. Ash stood slowly, aware of how his borrowed clothes hung loose on his frame. They'd dressed him in simple linen, prisoner's garb disguised as comfort. They led him through hallways he'd only ever seen while carrying trays or scrubbing floors. Pack members stopped to stare. Some spat as he passed. Others just looked at him with cold calculation, already judging him guilty. The interrogation room was deep in the compound's belly, windowless and cold. A single table. 2 chairs. Kale dismissed the guards and closed the door, leaving them alone. Sit. Ash sat. Kale remained standing, circling the table like a wolf stalking prey. The fire investigators found accelerant in 3 locations. Oil-based. The kind we use in the kitchens. Ash's stomach dropped. I didn't. Your scent was found near the ignition point in the East Wing hallway. Kale's voice was flat, professional. You were working in the kitchens that morning. You had access. You had motive. What motive? Ash demanded. I don't even know the princess. But you knew Marcus. Kale stopped circling, leaned his hands on the table. You knew he'd be at that party. His new mate. You knew exactly where they'd be. The accusation hung between them. Ash felt his wolf snarl, felt heat building beneath his skin. I saved her, Ash said through gritted teeth. I saved Elena. Why would I? Because you're smart. Kale's eyes narrowed. Because you knew playing hero would erase suspicion. Because a rejected Omega with nothing to lose makes desperate choices. I did not start that fire. The heat beneath Ash's skin spiked. The temperature in the room rose noticeably. Kale stepped back, and there it was again, that flicker of fear. What are you? Kale whispered. Ash blinked. What? Your eyes. They just, Kale's hand dropped to the knife at his belt. They flashed gold. Impossible. Omegas had blue or green eyes. Alphas had gold or amber. It was biology, unchangeable as bone structure. You're seeing things, Ash said, but his voice shook. Kale stared at him for a long moment. Then he straightened, his professional mask sliding back into place. The king wants you kept close. Princess Elena won't sleep unless you're nearby, some trauma response the healers can't explain. So you're confined to the royal wing. One step out of line, one hint that you're a threat, and I'll kill you myself. Understood? Ash nodded numbly. As Kale turned to leave, he paused at the door. For what it's worth, he said without looking back, I don't think you started the fire. But someone wants me to think you did. And they've done a damn good job of it. They moved Ash to a smaller room down the hall from Princess Elena's chambers. Still luxurious by his standards, but clearly a gilded cage. Guards stood at his door day and night. Elena's nursemaid brought her to visit on the fourth evening. The little princess's dark curls were neat now, her face scrubbed clean, but her eyes held shadows too old for a 5-year-old. She didn't speak. Hadn't spoken since the fire, according to the nursemaid. But when she saw Ash, Elena ran to him, wrapped her small arms around his waist, and buried her face against his stomach. Ash froze. He'd never been around children before. Didn't know what to do with his hands, his voice, his suddenly aching heart. Slowly, carefully, he rested one scarred hand on her head. Elena's trembling stopped. She has nightmares, the nursemaid said softly. Wake screaming. But if we bring her here, if she knows you're near, she sleeps. So every night, Elena came to his room. She'd curl up in the chair by his bed, clutching a stuffed wolf, and watch him with those two old eyes until sleep claimed her. Then the nursemaid would carry her back to her own chambers. Ash became a necessity. A prisoner who couldn't be imprisoned too harshly because a traumatized princess needed him. He wasn't sure if it was mercy or the cruelest torture imaginable. Marcus came on the 6th night. Ash heard the guards arguing with him in the hallway, heard Marcus's voice rising in pitch. 5 minutes. I'm his former mate, I have rights. The door opened. Marcus stepped inside, and Ash's wolf snarled. The bond, that phantom thing that should have been dead, flared with pain and fury. Marcus wore Sienna's scent like cologne, thick and cloying. It made Ash want to vomit. Get out, Ash said quietly. Marcus closed the door behind him. He looked good, he always looked good. Tall and broad-shouldered, with the easy confidence of someone who'd never questioned their place in the world. His dark hair was perfectly styled, his clothes expensive. He'd never looked at Ash the way he looked at Sienna. Never touched him with anything but clinical duty. I'm trying to help you, Marcus said, spreading his hands in false sincerity. The pack wants blood, Ash. They want someone to pay for what happened to Elena. I didn't start the fire. I know. Marcus's expression didn't change. But it doesn't matter what's true. It matters what people believe. And right now, they believe you're a jealous, unstable Omega who wanted revenge. Ash stood slowly. Sienna's been busy. She's protecting our family. Protecting me. Marcus took a step closer. I can make this go away, Ash. I can convince the king to let you leave quietly. You confess to acting alone, say it was an accident, and you're exiled instead of executed. You get to live. And if I don't? Marcus's jaw tightened. Your sister. Lily. She's 16 now, isn't she? Still too young to have presented. Vulnerable. Ice flooded Ash's veins. Lily was the only family he had, the only person in this pack who'd never looked at him with disgust. She lived in the orphanage where they'd both grown up, worked in the gardens, dreamed of becoming a healer. You wouldn't, Ash whispered. I would do anything to protect Sienna. Marcus's eyes were cold now, all pretense dropped. The pack is looking for a scapegoat. Give them one, or I'll make sure they find two. Your sister was seen in the kitchens that morning too. Funny how evidence can surface. You're threatening to frame a child. I'm giving you a choice. Marcus moved to the door. Confess and leave, or watch Lily burn. You have until tomorrow night. He left. Ash stood frozen, his mind racing. Marcus was hiding something about the fire, something that made him desperate enough to threaten an innocent girl. But what? And how could Ash prove it from a locked room in the royal wing? His thoughts were interrupted by a knock. The door opened, and every hair on Ash's body stood on end. The Dowager Luna entered like winter itself. She was ancient, at least 70, maybe older, but age had only sharpened her into something terrible. Her white hair was braided like a crown, her black dress severe. But it was her eyes that made Ash's wolf whimper and cower. They were chips of ice, devoid of mercy or warmth. She closed the door. Locked it. Then she began to circle him. Ash couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. The Dowager Luna radiated power, not just of an alpha, but of something older. Something that made his instincts scream predator. She leaned close, inhaling deeply at his throat. His hair. His wrists. Impossible, she murmured. But here you are. I don't, Ash's voice cracked. I don't understand. The Dowager Luna pulled back, studying his face with clinical detachment. You have her eyes. That particular shade of green. I told them to kill you both 22 years ago. Her voice was conversational, pleasant. I should have done it myself. Ash's heart hammered. Who? Who are you talking about? Your mother, boy. The woman who spread her legs for my son and thought she could steal him from his destiny. The Dowager Luna's smile was a razor blade. Adrian was always weak. Falling in love with a common pack wolf, refusing his arranged marriage. He would have destroyed everything our family built. Adrian. Elena had said that name. Why does he smell like Uncle Adrian? I don't know any Adrian, Ash said, but his voice shook. No. You wouldn't. The Dowager Luna touched his cheek with one cold finger. We made sure of that. Took you from her arms while she screamed. Suppressed your alpha genes with herbs and potions. Made you into a broken omega so you'd never be a threat. Her eyes glittered. And we killed her for daring to bear my son's bastard. The room tilted. Ash staggered backward, hitting the wall. Alpha genes. Suppressed. His mother, killed. Uncle Adrian. You're lying, Ash gasped. Am I? The Dowager Luna's smile widened. Tell me, boy. Have you never wondered why you don't remember your childhood? Why your scent confuses the healers? Why you survived wounds that should have killed any Omega? She leaned close again, her breath cold against his ear. You're not an Omega, little bastard. You never were. You're my grandson. And I'm going to bury you before anyone else figures it out. She turned and walked to the door, unlocked it with steady hands. Sleep well, Ash. Or should I say, Prince Ashton. The door closed behind her. Ash's legs gave out. He hit the floor hard, gasping for air that wouldn't come. His body felt wrong, too hot, too tight, like his skin didn't fit anymore. Pain exploded through his chest. His spine. His wolf howled and thrashed, trying to break free of chains Ash didn't know existed. Heat. Unbearable heat. His Omega designation was fracturing. And beneath it, something else surged forward. Something with gold eyes and fury older than memory. Ash's vision went white as his first alpha rut threatened to tear him apart from the inside out. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 3. The pain was eating Ash alive. He writhed on the floor, clawing at his own skin as if he could tear free of his body. Heat rolled through him in waves, each one hotter than the last. His bones felt like they were breaking and reforming, his muscles shredding and rebuilding. His wolf was roaring, not the confused, cowering thing he'd known his whole life, but something massive and furious and utterly dominant. The door crashed open. Guards rushed in, took one look at him, and stumbled backward. "Get Dr. Marin," one of them choked out. "Now. Now." Ash couldn't see through the haze of pain. Couldn't think past the fire in his blood. He heard himself making sounds, growls, snarls, something between a scream and a roar. This wasn't an Omega heat. He knew that much even through the agony. This was something else entirely. More footsteps. A woman's voice, ancient and sharp, "Everyone out. Bar the door from the outside. No one enters until I say." The guards fled. The door slammed. Hands touched his face, old hands, steady and sure. "Look at me, boy. Look at me." Ash forced his eyes open. A woman knelt beside him, ancient beyond measure. Her face was a map of wrinkles, her white hair wild around her shoulders, but her eyes were bright and knowing. She wore the deep purple robes of a master healer. Dr. Marin. He'd heard her name in whispers. She'd been the royal healer for 3 generations, older than the Dowager Luna herself. "That's it," she murmured. "Stay with me. This is going to hurt, but I need you conscious." She pulled a syringe from her robes, plunged it into his arm. Cool relief spread through his veins, dampening the worst of the heat. Not gone, never gone, but manageable. Ash gasped, shaking. "What's happening to me?" Something that should have happened 22 years ago. Dr. Marin pulled out a small blade, grabbed his hand. "I need your blood. Don't fight me." She sliced his palm before he could respond. Blood welled, dark and rich. She caught it in a vial, stoppered it, and stood. "The sedative will hold for an hour. Maybe 2 if you're lucky." She moved to the door, knocked twice. "I'll be back. Try not to destroy the room." Then she was gone, and Ash was alone with the fire in his bones and questions that had no answers. He must have passed out eventually, because when awareness returned, the light had changed. Evening now. The pain had dulled to a constant, throbbing ache. Voices filtered through the door. Raised voices. Arguing. "Impossible. You're telling me." "I'm telling you what the blood doesn't lie about, Your Majesty." Dr. Marin's voice, calm and implacable. "This boy is a Prime Alpha. The rarest designation, one we haven't seen in this pack for over 100 years. His DNA is a perfect match to the royal bloodline. Specifically, to you." Silence. "Then, that's not possible. My son died. I held his body." "Did you?" Dr. Marin's voice turned sharp. "Or did you hold a bundle wrapped in cloth that your mother handed you, that she told you not to unwrap because it would be too traumatic?" Another silence, longer this time. Ash dragged himself to his feet, moved toward the door. His body protested every movement, but he needed to hear this. Needed to understand. "Run it again," Theron said finally. His voice was hoarse. "The blood test. Run it again. I've run it 3 times. The results are identical." Papers rustled. "But there's more. I found traces of Shadowroot in his system, concentrated enough that it's a miracle he's alive. Someone has been dosing him regularly for years." "Shadowroot?" Theron's voice went cold. "That's illegal. That's dark magic," Dr. Marin confirmed. "Used by ancient witches to suppress wolf characteristics. In high enough doses, over long enough periods, it can artificially change a designation. Make an alpha present as an omega. Make them forget. Make them malleable." Ash's stomach turned. The blank spaces in his childhood. The confusion about his own body. The way his wolf had always felt wrong, caged. Someone had been poisoning him. Changing him. Who? Theron demanded. Who would have access? Someone close to the boy. Someone who saw him regularly. Dr. Marin's voice dropped. Someone who wanted him weak and forgotten. The silence that followed was suffocating. 22 years ago, Dr. Marin continued, quieter now, Queen Lyanna gave birth to twins. I wasn't allowed in the birthing room, your mother insisted she had it handled. But I heard 2 cries, Your Majesty. 2 distinct cries. When the Dowager Luna emerged, she carried only one child. Princess Elena. She told you your son had been stillborn, that you shouldn't see the body, that it would be handled quietly. Stop. Theron's voice cracked. Just, stop. 3 days later, Queen Lyanna died. The official report said grief and complications from birth. But I examined her body, and I found traces of the same poison in her system. Shadowroot, mixed with something else. Something that stopped her heart. Ash pressed his forehead against the door. His mother. They'd killed his mother. You're saying my mother murdered my mate and stole my son. Theron's voice was hollow now. Empty. You're saying she's been, what? Keeping him alive? Why? Why not just kill him? I don't know, Dr. Marin admitted. But I intend to find out. The question is, what do you want to do about it? I want to see him. Now. Ash barely had time to step back before the door opened. Theron filled the doorway, and for the first time in Ash's life, he looked at the Alpha King not as a servant, but as, what? A son? A stranger? Theron's eyes, gold, like molten metal, scanned Ash from head to toe, taking in the changes that were already visible. Ash had grown taller, his frame broader. His features had sharpened, strengthened. Even his scent had changed, from the weak omega fragrance to something rich and wild and undeniably alpha. Your eyes, Theron said hoarsely. They're green. Lyanna's eyes. Ash didn't know what to say. What could he say? Theron stepped into the room, closed the door behind him. They stood facing each other, king and servant, father and son, strangers bound by blood and lies. Do you remember her? Theron asked. Your mother. Anything at all? Ash shook his head. I don't remember anything before I was 5. They told me, the orphanage told me I was found on their doorstep. No family. No history. You have a history. Theron's voice turned fierce. You have a family. You have, his breath hitched. You have a sister. Elena. The little girl who'd clung to him, who'd called him brother without knowing why. She knew, Ash whispered. Somehow, she knew. Twin bond, Dr. Marin said from the doorway. It transcends memory, transcends magic. She recognized you the moment you touched her. That's why she won't let you go. Theron ran a hand over his face. He looked older suddenly, worn. I rejected my second chance mate 2 years ago because I couldn't move past Lyanna. Couldn't dishonor her memory. And all this time, my son, our son, was here. Suffering. Being poisoned. Under my own roof. The pain in his voice was raw, genuine. Ash felt something crack in his chest. I didn't know, he said uselessly. I didn't know what I was. You shouldn't have had to know. Theron stepped closer, raised one hand as if to touch Ash's face, then stopped. I don't expect. I can't ask you to. I don't know how to do this. Neither do I, Ash admitted. They stood there, 2 broken men trying to figure out how to be something they'd never been. A scream shattered the moment. High and terrified, coming from down the hall. Elena. Both of them moved without thinking, rushing into the hallway. Guards scrambled out of their way. Elena's nursemaid stood outside the princess's chambers, hands pressed to her mouth. Inside, Elena stood on her bed, pointing at the window. Tears streamed down her face, and she was screaming the same word over and over. Brother. 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 The window was open. The curtains billowed in the night wind. And on the window seat sat a tea tray, 2 cups, both empty. Ash's blood ran cold. He ran to the window, looked out. Nothing. No one. But the scent, that poisonous, floral scent, hung in the air. Shadowroot. Elena, did someone give you tea? Ash knelt by the bed, keeping his voice gentle. Did someone visit you? Elena nodded frantically, still crying. The mean grandmama. She said to drink, and you'd wake up happy. But I dropped mine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Ash looked at the floor. 1 cup lay shattered, tea spreading across the carpet. But the other. She drank from the other cup, the nursemaid whispered. I saw her. Right before she left. Theron went very still. Who left? Before anyone could answer, more screaming erupted. This time from the entrance to the royal wing. They ran. Marcus lay on the marble floor, convulsing. Foam flecked his lips. His skin had gone gray, his eyes rolled back. And standing over him, her face twisted with fury, was the Dowager Luna. Idiot boy, she hissed. Weak, pathetic idiot. It wasn't meant for you. Ash understood in a horrible rush. The poisoned tea. 2 cups, 1 for Elena, 1 for him. But Marcus had intercepted it somehow. Had drunk it himself. What did you do? Theron roared. Mother, what did you do? The Dowager Luna straightened, her expression cooling into something regal and untouchable. What I've always done. Protected this family from contamination. Her eyes locked on Ash. He's a bastard. An abomination. I should have drowned him at birth. You killed Lyanna, Theron said, his voice shaking with rage. You killed my mate. You stole my son. I saved your legacy. The Dowager Luna's composure cracked. Lyanna was weak-blooded trash. Her son would have diluted our power, made us vulnerable. I did what had to be done. By turning him into a slave? By poisoning him for 22 years? By making him nothing? The Dowager Luna's smile was vicious. An Omega too broken to be a threat. It worked perfectly until he decided to play hero. Dr. Marin knelt beside Marcus, checking his pulse. He's dying. This is concentrated nightshade mixed with shadowroot. There's no antidote. Marcus's eyes flickered open, focusing on Ash with desperate clarity. His lips moved. Ash dropped to his knees, leaned close. Don't talk. Save your strength. No. Marcus's voice was barely a whisper. Blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. Need to tell you. Tell me what? She's my grandmother. Marcus's fingers found Ash's wrist, gripped with fading strength. Different bloodline. Secret. She arranged everything. Made me reject you. Made me watch you. Said it was, for the family. Ash's world tilted. Marcus. The fire. She started it. Wanted to kill Elena. Kill you. Put my bloodline on the throne. Marcus coughed, more blood. I tried to stop her. Tried to warn you. But I was too late. Too weak. His grip tightened suddenly, desperately. The mate bond, he gasped. It was always real. For both of us. I never stopped. His eyes went vacant. His hand fell away. Ash felt it, the bond that had haunted him for 3 months suddenly screaming with agony. Then snapping. truly snapping this time, severing with a finality that stole his breath. Marcus was dead. And Ash felt everything, the love Marcus had hidden, the torment he'd endured, the impossible choice he'd been forced to make. It flooded through the dying Bond like blood from a wound. He'd loved Ash. Truly loved him. And he'd died saving him. Ash's head snapped up, his eyes, pure gold now, burning with alpha fury, locked on the Dowager Luna. "You killed him," he said softly. "You killed them all." The Dowager Luna's expression didn't change. "I did what was necessary. And I'd do it again." Theron's power exploded through the hallway. Windows cracked. Guards fell to their knees. Even the Dowager Luna stumbled backward. "You're done," Theron said, his voice layered with his alpha command. "Done hurting my family. Done destroying everything I love." He looked at the guards. "Arrest her. Silver chains. Wolfsbane cuffs. And someone get me every record of births, deaths, and bloodlines from the past 50 years. As guards moved to obey, the Dowager Luna laughed, wild and broken and utterly mad. "You think this is over?" she cackled. "You think he's the only secret I've buried? This pack is built on lies, Theron. Pull one thread, and the whole thing unravels. You'll see. You'll all see." They dragged her away, still laughing. Ash knelt by Marcus's body, his hand hovering over his former mate's chest. Elena appeared beside him, silent and solemn. She took Ash's other hand, squeezed it. "Brother," she whispered. "You came back." Ash looked at her, this little girl who'd known him when no one else did. Who'd called him family when he was nothing. "Yeah," he said roughly. "I came back." Theron knelt beside them, placed a hand on Ash's shoulder. Not commanding. Just, there. Present. "I don't know how to fix this," he said quietly. "Any of this. But I'm going to try. If you'll let me." Ash looked at his father, because that's what Theron was, despite everything. Despite the years of lies and pain and loss. "I don't know how to be a prince," Ash admitted. "I don't even know how to be an alpha yet. Then we'll figure it out together." Theron's hand tightened. "As a family." Elena pressed against Ash's side, and for the first time in his life, Ash felt like he might actually belong somewhere. But as they knelt there, surrounded by death and revelation, Ash couldn't shake the Dowager Luna's final words. "This pack is built on lies. Pull one thread, and the whole thing unravels." What other secrets were buried in the royal bloodline? And who else would die before the truth finally came to light? If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 4. The Dowager Luna's cell was empty. Ash stood in the doorway, staring at the silver chains that lay coiled on the floor like sleeping serpents. The wolfsbane cuffs had been removed carefully, methodically. Not broken. Unlocked. Someone helped her, Kale said grimly beside him. Someone with access to the key. Or several someones, Dr. Marin added from behind them. She moved past Ash into the cell, her ancient eyes scanning every surface. "Look at the walls." Ash followed her gaze. Symbols had been scratched into the stone, crude but deliberate. They made his skin crawl. Old pack marks, Dr. Marin traced one with a gnarled finger. From before we unified under one alpha. These represent the purest faction, wolves who believed only the strongest bloodlines should survive. They were supposedly dissolved 50 years ago. Apparently not, Theron said coldly, entering the cell. His presence filled the small space, alpha power radiating off him in waves. 3 days since Marcus's death, and the Alpha King looked like he'd aged 10 years. "We found 4 guards dead in the east tunnel. Throats torn out. She didn't leave alone." Ash's wolf stirred restlessly. Since his designation had broken through, everything felt too sharp, too intense. He could smell fear and lies on people like perfume. Could sense the shifts in pack loyalty like changes in air pressure. And right now, the pressure was building toward a storm. How many? Ash asked quietly. How many are loyal to her? Theron and Kale exchanged glances. We don't know, Kale admitted. But in the last 3 days, 17 pack members have vanished. All of them from old bloodlines. All of them vocal about. He trailed off, looking uncomfortable. About what? Ash pressed. About you, Theron said flatly. About an ex-Omega being named Crown Prince. They're calling it an abomination. A contamination of the royal line. The words hit like physical blows. Ash had spent 3 days learning to be an alpha, learning to control the power surging through his veins, the dominance that wanted to pour out of him in waves. But he hadn't learned to control the hurt. He was still the same person who'd scrubbed floors and swallowed insults. Still the same wolf who'd been rejected and broken. Just in a different body now. Let them call it whatever they want, Ash said, his voice harder than he felt. Where did she go? North, Dr. Marin said. Toward the old territories. The abandoned temple grounds. Theron's expression darkened. We burned those grounds 60 years ago. There's nothing there but ruins. And yet that's where she's heading. Dr. Marin pulled a map from her robes, spread it on the cell's small table. I've been tracking the old purist sites. Every location she visited in the past 20 years, they form a pattern. A ritual circle with the temple at its center. She drew lines connecting points on the map. They formed a perfect star. What kind of ritual? Ash asked, though part of him didn't want to know. Dr. Marin's expression was grim. Blood magic. The darkest kind. The Emergency Pack Council convened that evening in the Great Hall. Hundreds of wolves packed the space, alphas, betas, even omegas, all of them anxious and angry. The air stank of fear. Ash stood on the raised platform beside his father, feeling every eye on him. Judging. Measuring. Rejecting. Princess Elena sat in a small chair at Theron's other side, her hand clasped tight in Ash's. She hadn't let go of him for 3 days. Barely ate unless he was present. The healer said it was the twin bond reasserting itself after decades of suppression. Ash thought it was just Elena being the only person who didn't give a damn what he used to be. Theron raised his hand, and the crowd fell silent. 3 days ago, we learned that my mother, your former Luna, has been conducting treason and murder for over 2 decades. His voice carried to every corner. She murdered Queen Lyanna. She stole my son and heir, suppressed his true nature through dark magic, and attempted to murder Princess Elena. 2 nights ago, she poisoned Beta Marcus to death and escaped custody with the help of traitors within our own pack. Angry murmurs rippled through the crowd. We are now hunting her and anyone loyal to her cause. Theron's eyes swept the room. But first, we must secure our succession. Crown Prince Ashton, my son, returned from the dead, will undergo the trials of ascension to prove his worth as heir. The murmurs turned to shouts. He's tainted, someone yelled. He was an Omega. The royal bloodline is corrupted. Ash's wolf snarled, wanting to dominate them all into submission. But that would only prove their point, that he was unstable. Dangerous. Theron's power crashed over the room like a tidal wave. Wolves dropped to their knees, gasping. Enough. His voice was lethal. Ashton is a prime alpha, the first our pack has seen in over a century. His DNA is verified. His designation was artificially suppressed through illegal magic. Anyone who questions his bloodline questions mine. And I will take that challenge personally. Silence fell like a blade. The trials begin tomorrow at dawn, Theron continued. 3 tests. Any who wish to contest his claim may enter as challengers. But know this, the trials end in submission or death. Choose carefully. He dismissed the council. As wolves filed out, Ash caught snippets of conversation, some supportive, most hostile. He felt like he was drowning in their collective judgment. Hey. Ash looked down. Elena tugged his hand, her dark eyes serious. They're wrong about you, she said firmly. You're not tainted. You're my brother. Something eased in Ash's chest. He knelt, bringing himself to her eye level. Thank you, Elena. Will you die? She asked suddenly. In the trials? Ash wanted to lie. Wanted to promise he'd be fine. But Elena had lived through enough lies. I'm going to try very hard not to, he said instead. Elena studied him for a long moment. Then she wrapped her small arms around his neck and whispered, Mama's watching. She'll help you. I can feel her sometimes. Ash's throat tightened. He held his little sister close and wondered if ghosts could really protect the living. The first trial was combat. Ash stood in the fighting ring as dawn broke, stripped to the waist, his body covered in ritual paint. 5 challengers faced him, all of them seasoned warriors, all of them larger and more experienced. All of them looking at him like he was prey. Theron watched from the elevated platform, his face carved from stone. Elena sat beside him, small and pale. The entire pack surrounded the ring in tiered rows, thousands of eyes tracking Ash's every move. First blood or submission, the trial master announced. Begin. They came at him all at once. Ash's instincts took over. He dodged the first lunge, used the attacker's momentum to throw him into another challenger. Claws raked his shoulder, pain, bright and sharp. He spun, caught his attacker's wrist, twisted until bones cracked. His wolf was singing. This was what he'd been bred for, not scrubbing floors or swallowing abuse, but this. Pure dominance. Raw power. He fought like something wild and unleashed. Blood sprayed. Bones snapped. One by one, his challengers fell. The last one, a massive alpha named Gareth, refused to submit. They circled each other, both bleeding, both exhausted. You'll never be one of us, Gareth snarled. Omega filth pretending at greatness. Ash's vision went red. His wolf surged forward, and he felt his bones begin to shift. No. He couldn't shift. Not yet. He barely understood his human alpha form, let alone his wolf. But Gareth was shifting, bones cracking and reforming. In seconds, a massive gray wolf stood where the man had been. The crowd gasped. Shifting during trials was allowed but rare. It meant the challenger was willing to kill rather than submit. Ash had 2 choices, shift and lose control, or stay human and die. He chose neither. As Gareth lunged, Ash dropped and rolled, came up with a handful of ritual sand. He threw it in the wolf's eyes. Gareth yelped, stumbled. Ash was on him in an instant, arm locked around the wolf's throat. Submit, he growled. Or I snap your neck. Gareth thrashed. Ash squeezed harder, cutting off air. The wolf's struggles weakened. Finally, Gareth shifted back to human form and tapped Ash's arm. I submit, he gasped. Ash released him, stood. Blood dripped from a dozen wounds. His chest heaved. The crowd was silent. Then Theron stood. First trial complete. Crown Prince Ashton is victorious. Scattered applause. Mostly silence. Ash looked up at Elena. She was clapping furiously, tears streaming down her face. It would have to be enough. The second trial was wisdom, solving an impossible pack dilemma under pressure while pack elders grilled him with questions designed to have no right answer. Ash survived through sheer stubbornness and the memories that kept surfacing, his mother's voice, teaching him about fairness and mercy. He didn't know how he knew her words, but they poured from him like water from a broken dam. By evening, he'd passed the second trial. Barely. The feast that followed was tense. Ash sat at the high table, picking at food he couldn't taste. His body ached. His mind felt fractured. And worst of all, he kept seeing Marcus's face, kept remembering those last words. The mate bond, it was always real, for both of us. How was he supposed to grieve someone who'd rejected him? How was he supposed to mourn a love he'd never been allowed to have? You need to eat. Ash looked up. Theron had moved closer, his plate untouched as well. I'm not hungry. You're still healing. Eat. It was the most parental thing Theron had said to him since the revelation. Ash almost laughed. I don't know how to do this, he said quietly. Be your son. Be a prince. Be anything other than what I was. Theron was silent for a long moment. Then, I don't know how to do this either. Be your father. I keep looking at you and seeing all the years I missed. All the pain I should have prevented. You didn't know. I should have. Theron's voice turned raw. You were under my roof. My protection. I should have known. Ash had no answer for that. They sat in shared silence, two broken men trying to build something from ruins. Elena climbed into Ash's lap, curling against his chest. She fell asleep within minutes, her small hand fisted in his shirt. She trusts you, Theron said softly. More than she's trusted anyone since Lyanna died. She's the only one who does. Give them time. They'll see what I see, that you're stronger than any of us. Ash wasn't sure he believed that. But he held his sister close and let himself pretend, just for a moment, that he belonged here. The third trial was endurance, a hunt through the northern territories, alone, while being tracked by the pack's best hunters. Ash had to survive 3 days and return with a white stag's heart. It should have been straightforward. It wasn't. On the second day, Ash's vision began to blur. His legs went weak. He collapsed against a tree, gasping, and realized with cold horror that he recognized the symptoms. Shadowroot. Someone had poisoned him again. He tried to call for help, but his voice wouldn't work. Tried to shift, but his wolf was trapped beneath the drug's haze. His heart slowed. The forest dimmed. This is it, he thought distantly. I survived everything else just to die in the woods like an animal. Then warmth flooded through him. Not physical warmth, something else. Something that felt like coming home. Ash opened his eyes. Marcus stood before him, translucent and glowing, his form flickering like candlelight. You're not real, Ash whispered. No, Marcus agreed. His smile was sad and beautiful. But I'm here anyway. How? Marcus knelt, his ghostly hand passing through Ash's chest. The moon goddess doesn't let prime alpha bonds break, even in death. You and I, we were fated. Really, truly fated. I broke the bond in life, but death made me see what I'd thrown away. Tears burned Ash's eyes. I hate you. For what you did. For lying to me. I know. Marcus's expression crumpled. I'm so sorry. I was a coward. I chose comfort over love, and it cost us everything. Then why are you here? To give you what I couldn't give you in life. Marcus's glow intensified. My strength. My protection. My love, all of it. I'm bound to you across the veil, and I can break that bond one final time. Give you my spirit's energy to heal. But Ash, if I do this, I'm gone. Really gone. No reincarnation. No second chances. The void. Ash's chest tightened. No. You can't. I can. And I will. Marcus's smile was radiant now. Because I love you. I always loved you. And this is the only apology I have left to give. Marcus, please. Let me do this one thing right. Marcus leaned forward, pressed his ghostly forehead to Ash's. Be happy. Find a love that deserves you. And remember me, not as the coward who rejected you, but as the man who would have spent eternity paying for that mistake if it meant you got to live. Light exploded through Ash's body. The poison burned away, replaced by pure, golden energy. Marcus's form flickered, fading. Wait. Ash reached for him, but his hands passed through empty air. Don't leave. Marcus, please. I'm not leaving, Marcus's voice echoed, growing distant. I'll always be part of you now. In every beat of your heart. Every breath. I love you, Ash. I'm sorry I never said it when it mattered. Then he was gone. Ash knelt in the forest, whole and healed, and finally let himself grieve. He sobbed until his throat was raw, until the sun set and rose again. Grieving not just for Marcus, but for everything they could have been. On the third day, he killed the white stag with his bare hands and walked back into camp with its heart still warm in his grip. The pack cheered. Theron embraced him. Elena crowned him with silver laurels. But all Ash felt was hollow. They captured the Dowager Luna that night. She was waiting for them at the old temple ruins, surrounded by her loyalists, 15 wolves, all armed, all ready to die for her cause. But she wasn't afraid. She was laughing. You're too late, she crowed as silver chains bound her wrists. The ritual is already in motion. I may have failed to complete it, but I started something that can't be stopped. What ritual? Theron demanded. What did you do? The Dowager Luna's eyes gleamed with mad triumph. 22 years ago, when Lyanna gave birth, I didn't just suppress Ashton's nature. I sacrificed something. The afterbirth. The twin connection. The sacred blood of a prime alpha birth. I fed it to Valdris, the wolf god who was banished by the moon goddess herself. And he promised me power in return. Promised to bring back my mate, your father, who died too soon. Theron went still. Father died of natural causes. Did he? The Dowager Luna smiled. Or did I help him along so I could bring him back as something greater? Immortal. Undying. Horror crawled up Ash's spine. Every 5 years, I've made smaller sacrifices, the Dowager Luna continued. Building power. Building the ritual. Elena was meant to be the final piece, the last of Lyanna's blood, spilled on sacred ground. With her death, Valdris would rise fully into this world. He would give me what I wanted. But Ash saved Elena, Dr. Marin said slowly. He broke the ritual. Broke it, yes. The Dowager Luna's grin widened. But didn't stop it. The ritual is incomplete now. Valdris is stuck between worlds, not fully here, not fully banished. And he's hungry. Angry. He'll come for Elena himself to finish what was started. And when he does... She looked at Ash. Not even a prime alpha will be able to stop him. Silence fell like a shroud. You're insane, Theron said finally. I'm devoted. The Dowager Luna lifted her chin. And you'll see. When the moon turns dark next week, Valdris will rise. He'll take what he's owed. And this pack will finally be purged of its weakness. They dragged her away to a cell that even she couldn't escape, deep underground, warded by Dr. Marin's strongest magic. But her words echoed in Ash's mind. Not even a prime alpha will be able to stop him. He looked at Elena, who stood beside Theron, pale and silent. His little sister. His twin. The target of an ancient, hungry god. We need to prepare, Ash said quietly. Whatever's coming, we need to be ready. Theron nodded grimly. Then we prepare for war. Not against pack members, but against something far worse. Dr. Marin touched Ash's arm. There may be a way. An old magic, older than Valdris himself. But it requires a prime alpha's sacrifice. And it may cost you everything you've just gained. Tell me, Ash said without hesitation. Whatever it takes. I won't let him have her. As they walked back to the compound, Ash felt Marcus's presence like a whisper in his soul. Felt the echo of his sacrifice, his love, his final gift. And Ash knew, with bone-deep certainty, that he would do the same for Elena. Even if it meant facing a god. Even if it meant losing himself completely. I'm coming, he thought, sending the words into the darkness. Whatever you are, Valdris, I'm coming for you. The wind whispered back, cold and ancient. I'm waiting. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 5. The first possession happened 3 days after they imprisoned the Dowager Luna. Ash was in the training yard, working through combat drills with Kale, when the screaming started. They ran toward the sound, toward the kitchens where Ash had once scrubbed floors and swallowed insults. Marta, the head cook who'd tormented him for years, stood in the center of the room. Her eyes glowed like embers, her mouth twisted in a rictus of rage. In her hands, she held a cleaver. And she was staring at Princess Elena, who'd been visiting the kitchens for honey cakes. The child, Marta hissed in a voice that wasn't hers, layered, ancient, hungry. The interrupted one. Her death will complete what was stolen from me. Ash moved without thinking. He grabbed Elena and threw her behind him as Marta lunged. The cleaver whistled past his face, close enough that he felt the wind of it. Kale tackled Marta from the side. She shouldn't have been strong enough to throw him off. She was a beta, middle-aged, soft from years of kitchen work. But she tossed him like he weighed nothing. His body crashed through the wooden counter, splintering it. Marta. Ash kept himself between her and Elena. Fight it. Whatever's in you, fight it. But Marta's ember eyes held no recognition. She came at him again, impossibly fast. Ash caught her wrist, twisted. The cleaver clattered to the ground. Then Marta's body convulsed. She screamed, her own voice this time, terrified and agonized. The glow in her eyes flickered. For just a moment, Ash saw the real Marta looking at him with desperate plea. Help, me. Then the glow returned, brighter. Marta laughed, that same layered, inhuman laugh. And she collapsed, unconscious. Dr. Marin arrived within minutes. She examined Marta with grim efficiency, then looked at Ash with ancient, knowing eyes. Flame Revenant, she said quietly. A vengeful spirit that feeds on interrupted death rituals. It can possess anyone with sufficient dormant rage or grief. She glanced around the room at the gathered crowd. Which means it can possess almost anyone in this pack. Murmurs rippled through the watching wolves. Fear, thick and choking. How do we stop it? Theron demanded, entering with his personal guard. We can't. Not permanently. Dr. Marin stood, wiping her hands. As long as the ritual remains incomplete, the Revenant will hunt Elena. It will jump from host to host, using their bodies as vessels. And each possession drains the host's life force. Marta will likely die within the week. Elena pressed closer to Ash, trembling. He wrapped an arm around her, felt his protective instincts roar. There has to be a way, he said. Dr. Marin's expression was heavy with sorrow. There is. But you won't like it. The emergency council convened that night. Every high-ranking pack member crammed into the great hall, their fear so thick Ash could taste it. Dr. Marin stood before them all, ancient and terrible in her purple robes. 22 years ago, Queen Lyanna gave birth to twins during a lunar eclipse, an event that occurs once every century. According to prophecy, twins born to a prime alpha bloodline during such an eclipse will either save or destroy the werewolf world. Silence. Absolute, suffocating silence. The prophecy doesn't specify which twin is which, Dr. Marin continued. One will be a savior. One will be a destroyer. And there is no way to know until they fulfill their destiny. All eyes turned to Ash and Elena. Prince Ashton's actions, saving Princess Elena from the fire, broke the Dowager Luna's ritual prematurely, Dr. Marin said. In doing so, he prevented Elena's death. But he also unleashed the Flame Revenant, a creature of vengeance that wouldn't exist if the ritual had either completed or never started. So he's the destroyer, someone shouted. He unleashed this thing on us. Or he's the savior, another voice countered. He saved the princess. The hall erupted into argument. Accusations flew. Ash stood on the platform beside his father and sister, feeling the weight of hundreds of stares. Feeling them judge him. Condemn him. An older alpha stood, his voice cutting through the chaos. The prophecy is clear. One twin saves us. One destroys us. We can't risk waiting to find out which is which. He looked directly at Theron. Execute Prince Ashton. Better to lose one than risk losing everything. The hall went silent again. Theron's face could have been carved from stone. You're asking me to kill my son based on a prophecy that may be nothing but superstition. It's not superstition. A woman stepped forward, Elder Miriam, one of the pack's oldest wolves. I was there when your father was born. When your mother was born. I know the truth they buried. Every head turned toward her. The Dowager Luna wasn't always Dowager, Miriam said, her voice shaking. She had another name once. Lysandra. And she had a twin brother, your father, Theron. They were born during a lunar eclipse, just like Ashton and Elena. Ash felt the ground shift beneath him. The prophecy declared one of them destroyer, one savior, Miriam continued. The pack chose your father as the savior. Lysandra, they called her the destroyer. They took her name. Her birthright. They hid her away, treated her as cursed. Your father became Alpha King while his twin sister was erased from history. Theron stood frozen, his face ashen. That's, my mother was. Your mother was the rejected twin, Miriam confirmed. And her rage at being denied her destiny corrupted her. She spent her entire life trying to prove the prophecy wrong. Trying to destroy her brother's bloodline to show that she wasn't the destroyer, he was, for allowing her suffering. The hall erupted again. Wolves shouting, crying, arguing. The foundations of their pack history crumbling. Then the prophecy is poison, someone yelled. It corrupts whoever it touches. Which is why we must act. The first alpha surged forward, pointing at Ash. Execute him before the same thing happens. Before his resentment corrupts him like it corrupted Lysandra. Others took up the cry. Execute him. Save the pack. Choose, your majesty. Theron looked at Ash. Really looked at him, at the son he'd just found, the boy who'd suffered for 22 years, who'd survived impossible odds. And Ash saw the calculation in his father's eyes. Saw Theron weighing one life against thousands. Father, Ash said quietly. If this is what the pack needs. No. Elena's scream cut through everything. She threw herself in front of Ash, her small body trembling with fury and terror. You can't. Tears streamed down her face. He's my brother. He saved me. He's good. Elena, move, Theron said, his voice strained. No. If you kill him, I'll die too. I'll follow him. Elena's hands fisted in Ash's shirt. The bond, I feel it. If he dies, I die. We're connected. We're supposed to be connected. Theron stepped forward, reaching for her. Sweetheart, you don't understand. I understand that you're being a coward. Elena's voice cracked. Just like Grandmama. Choosing what's easy instead of what's right. Mama wouldn't want this. She wouldn't. The words hit Theron like physical blows. He stumbled back, his face crumpling. You're right, he whispered. Moon above, you're right. He turned to face the pack, and when he spoke, his voice carried to every corner. My mother spent her life poisoned by a prophecy. She became the destroyer not because she was born to it, but because we made her into it. We denied her, rejected her, treated her as cursed. His voice grew stronger. I will not do the same to my son. I will not sacrifice him on the altar of fear and superstition. You'll doom us all, someone shouted. Then let us be doomed. Theron roared, his alpha power exploding through the hall. Wolves dropped to their knees, gasping. I spent 22 years prioritizing duty over family. Following the path my mother laid out, cold, calculated, choosing the pack over love. And it cost me everything. My mate. My son. Nearly my daughter. He moved to stand beside Ash and Elena, placing a hand on each of their shoulders. No more, he said firmly. If the prophecy demands I choose between my children and the pack, then I choose my children. If that makes me a bad king, so be it. But I will not be the man my mother made me. I will not be a coward. Silence fell. Then, slowly, wolves began to stand. Some in support. Others in fear. The pack was fracturing before their eyes. And that's when the Dowager Luna's laughter echoed through the hall. It came from everywhere and nowhere, layered with that same inhuman quality that had possessed Marta. The torches flickered. The temperature plummeted. Touching, the voice hissed. But futile. The doors to the dungeons exploded open. The Dowager Luna walked through, her body wreathed in flames that didn't burn. Her eyes glowed like supernovas. The flame revenant had found its perfect host, the source of all that rage, all that corruption. You think you can break the cycle? Lysandra's body spoke with the revenant's voice, but underneath, Ash heard her. The real her. The rejected twin who'd been twisted by decades of hatred. You think love conquers prophecy? I thought that once. I begged my brother to save me. To choose me. But he chose the pack. Just like you almost did, Theron. Theron stepped forward. Mother. I'm not your mother. The revenant Lysandra's form flickered, flames dancing higher. I'm what your mother could have been. Should have been. I was the prime alpha, not my brother. I was stronger, smarter, more worthy. But they chose him because he was male, because he was easy. The flames spread across the floor, racing toward Elena. Ash grabbed his sister, but the fire formed a circle around them, trapping them. You want to know the truth about the prophecy? The revenant laughed. There is no destroyer. No savior. Just children crushed beneath the weight of their ancestors' fears. And I'm going to end it. I'm going to kill Elena, complete the ritual, and prove that prophecies are nothing but tools of control. She lunged for Elena, flames coalescing into claws. Ash threw himself between them. The flames hit him full force, and the pain was exquisite, just like the fire that had revealed his true nature. But this time, he didn't fall. This time, his prime alpha power rose to meet the flames. Gold light exploded from Ash's body, pushing back the fire. Elena gasped behind him, and her own power flared, not alpha dominance, but something else. Something softer but no less powerful. Empathy. Pure, undiluted omega empathy that could touch souls. Elena, Ash said, reaching back to take her hand. Trust me. Always, she whispered. Their powers merged, gold and silver, dominance and compassion, destroyer and savior. But not as separate entities. As two halves of a whole. The revenant screamed. No. This isn't how it works. One must destroy. One must save. You're wrong, Ash said, his voice layered with his and Elena's combined will. The prophecy was never about one of us being evil. It's about what we represent together. Elena stepped forward, still holding Ash's hand. Her silver light touched the revenant Lysandra's flames, not fighting them but understanding them. You were hurt, Elena said softly. You were rejected and twisted and made into something terrible. But that wasn't your destiny. It was what they chose for you. The Revenant faltered. Through the flames, Ash saw Lysandra's true face, younger, softer. A woman who'd once been just a girl with dreams. Together, Ash said, we destroy the old ways. The bloodline purity laws. The Omega oppression. The rigid hierarchies that allow people like you to be discarded. And together, Elena added, we build something new. Something better. Where twins aren't feared. Where prophecies don't define us. Their combined power surged forward, not as an attack, but as an offer. An invitation. Be free, they said without words. Let go of the rage. Let go of the pain. The Revenant thrashed, screaming. But Lysandra's voice rose through it, her real voice, small and broken. I just wanted to matter. You did, Theron said, stepping forward despite the flames. Tears streamed down his face. You mattered. You always mattered. And I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, that no one told you that when you needed to hear it. The Revenant's flames flickered. Dimmed. And Lysandra's body collapsed. Ash and Elena rushed forward, their powers still merged, and poured healing light into her. Not to save the Revenant, that was already dissolving, its purpose unfulfilled, but to save the woman beneath. The rejected twin who'd never been given a chance. Lysandra's eyes opened, clear and brown, and hers for the first time in decades. I'm tired, she whispered. So tired of hating. Then rest, Theron said, kneeling beside her. Rest, and let it go. Lysandra looked at Ash and Elena. You broke the cycle. The prophecy, it wasn't about you destroying or saving the world. It was about you destroying the systems that hurt people like me. Saving the ones who come after from the same fate. She smiled, small and genuine. Thank you. Then the light left her eyes, and Lysandra, the Dowager Luna, the rejected twin, the woman twisted by prophecy, died at peace. The aftermath took weeks. Ash stood before the full Pack Council and proposed sweeping reforms. The abolishment of Omega oppression laws. Equal rights regardless of designation. The dissolution of bloodline purity requirements. Half the old guard fought him. The other half, younger wolves, Omegas who'd suffered, Betas tired of the hierarchy, supported him with fierce loyalty. In the end, Theron backed his son. And the reforms passed. Ash established the twin crown system. He would rule as Alpha King, but Elena, once she came of age, would rule beside him as empathic crown. Balance. Partnership. Two halves of one whole. It wasn't perfect. Change never was. But it was better. And that was enough. 3 months after the Revenant's defeat, Ash stood at Marcus's grave. The headstone was simple, Marcus Thorne. Beloved son. Fated mate. Hero. Ash knelt, running his fingers over the carved letters. The phantom bond still whispered sometimes, warmth in cold moments, comfort when nightmares struck. I miss you, Ash said quietly. Still. Always. Footsteps approached. Ash looked up to find Sienna standing there, pale and thin. Marcus's widow. She held something clutched to her chest, a leather journal. I should have given this to you sooner, she said, her voice rough. It hurt to read. To know. She handed him the journal. Ash opened it with trembling hands. Marcus's handwriting. Page after page of it, dating back years. I saw him again today. Ash. He was carrying firewood, and the sun caught his hair, and I thought my heart would stop. The mate bond pulls at me constantly. But grandmother says I can't acknowledge it. That he's too weak. Too broken. That I must wait for someone better. She's wrong. I know she's wrong. But I'm too much of a coward to defy her. Ash's vision blurred. He flipped through pages, years of entries. Marcus watching him from afar. Wanting him. hating himself for the rejection. The final entry was dated the morning of the fire. I can't do this anymore. I can't watch Ash suffer while I pretend to love Sienna. She knows. She's always known. Tomorrow, I'm going to tell grandmother that I'm done. That I'm claiming my true mate, consequences be damned. If loving him damns me, then I'll burn for eternity and call it heaven. Ash's hands shook so hard the journal nearly fell. Sienna caught it, steadying him. He was going to choose you, she whispered. The day of the fire, he was going to break our mating bond and come to you. That's why he was at the estate. He was confronting the Dowager Luna. And she poisoned him instead, Ash said numbly. Sienna nodded, tears streaming down her face. I never resented you for it. I knew from the first day that Marcus's heart belonged to someone else. I'm sorry I didn't fight for him. For both of you. She left Ash alone with the journal and his grief. He read every page. Lived Marcus's secret love. Felt every moment of longing and regret. When the moon rose, full and silver, Ash tilted his head back and howled. It was a sound of pure mourning, for the mate he'd lost, for the love they'd never gotten to have, for all the stolen moments and wasted years. His howl echoed across the territory, raw and broken and utterly real. And for just a moment, one crystalline, impossible moment, he heard another howl answer. Marcus's howl. Distant and fading, but there. Ash's breath caught. He howled again, listening desperately. The answering howl came softer this time. Like an echo across dimensions. Like a promise that death wasn't the end. Ash closed his eyes, clutching the journal to his chest, and let himself believe. 6 months later, Ash stood in the throne room, reviewing trade agreements, when the doors opened. A stranger entered, an Omega with dark hair and familiar eyes. He wore traveler's clothes, dusty from the road, and his scent. Ash's wolf went utterly still. That scent. He knew that scent. Your Majesty, the Omega said, his voice rough and uncertain. My name is Cade. I know this will sound insane, but I need to tell you something. Tell me, Ash said, though his heart was hammering. Cade stepped closer. I died 6 months ago. Car accident in the human territories. I don't remember much, but when I woke up, I was different. I had memories that weren't mine. A life I didn't live. His eyes, Marcus's eyes, met Ash's. The moon goddess told me I'd been sent back. That a Prime Alpha's mate bond was too powerful to break, even across death and reincarnation. Ash couldn't breathe. Cade. But my real name, the one that feels right, is Marcus. The Omega's voice cracked. And I know you. I remember loving you. Dying for you. I remember everything. He could be lying. Could be a trick. Could be something dark wearing Marcus's face. But Ash's wolf knew the truth. Knew the soul standing before him. Prove it, Ash whispered. Tell me something only Marcus would know. Cade smiled, sad and beautiful and achingly familiar. You have a scar on your left shoulder blade. Shaped like a crescent moon. You got it when you were 7, falling from an apple tree. You never told anyone because you were afraid they'd say you were clumsy. Ash had never told anyone that. Had never written it down. Marcus, he breathed. I don't know if this is real, Cade, Marcus said, his voice shaking. I don't know if I'm really him or just some echo. But I feel you. The bond. It's still there. And I had to come. Had to find you. Ash crossed the distance between them in 3 strides. Cupped Marcus's face in his hands. If you're a lie, he said roughly, then lie to me forever. I don't care. He kissed him. And the bond, that phantom thing that had haunted Ash for months, blazed to life. Real and solid and undeniably present. Marcus kissed him back, desperate and loving and home. When they broke apart, both were crying. The moon goddess is generous, Marcus whispered. Or maybe just cruel enough to give us a second chance. I'll take cruel, Ash said. I'll take anything if it means I get to keep you. Outside the window, the moon shone silver and knowing. And somewhere in the space between life and death, the moon goddess smiled. The end. But perhaps, not quite. For in the shadows, something watched the returned mate with ancient, hungry eyes. And it whispered to itself, a soul that cheated death. How delicious. How rare. How perfectly useful for what comes next. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like and share this video to continue listening to this type of story daily and also, to appreciate this community too. I would like to hear your wonderful opinion about this story. Please comment below.